Hey everyone, let's dive into the world of SEO today. You sent us this article and wow, it's really got us thinking.
Yeah, this one is really interesting.
It's called SEO Kini Barata di Mana Nanamana Tahun 2024 blog Shopper Maniac.
Catchy.
Right. It's by Shopper Maniac. And
I've heard of them.
yeah, they always have interesting takes, but one thing in this article really stood out to us.
Okay.
It said that 65% of searches actually happen outside of Google.
65%.
Wow.
See, that's what I'm saying. You think you've got a handle on this whole SEO thing, and then...
Exactly. It makes you
Oh,
stop and think. So, of course, we had to ask ourselves, are we even reaching the right people with our SEO if most of them aren't even on Google?
Right, because Google is important, sure, but it's not everything anymore.
Exactly. And this article really highlights that, especially with how Gen Z and millennials are using platforms like, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest even.
All the time, yeah.
And they're using them as search engines.
Oh, yeah. I do that now that you mention it. It's
Yeah.
just easier sometimes.
And you know what's interesting? Businesses are picking up on this trend. They're shifting their advertising budgets away from Google Ads and on to these platforms because that's where the people are.
Makes sense. Follow the eyeballs, right?
Right. So how do we adapt to this new world of SEO? Well, Shopper Maniac breaks it down into 4 main areas. Search engines, yes, they still matter. Social media, AI, and get this, apps.
Apps. That's a new one.
Mhm.
I like it. I'm intrigued.
Right. It's a really interesting approach, and we're going to get into it. But first, let's talk about the old, faithful search engines.
The classics.
Exactly, because even though Google's dominance is waning, it's still a huge player, and this article says optimizing for it now means going beyond just text.
Okay, so what else? Images, videos.
Both. They said something like almost a sixth of all Google searches are image-based now.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. A picture's worth 1,000 words, as they say.
Right, and speaking of visual powerhouses, we can't forget about YouTube. It's the second largest search engine in the world.
That's true. I use it all the time.
Right, so if you're not making videos,
Big mistake.
huge. And it's not just about throwing any video up there.
It's got to be good. High quality, engaging,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to optimize for YouTube specifically.
Exactly, because YouTube's got its own language, so to speak.
It really does.
And it's not all about Google and YouTube anymore either. This article also talks about the rise of Bing.
Interesting. Bing, like Microsoft Bing.
Yeah. They've actually seen a surge in popularity lately, probably because they were early adopters of AI and they're really focusing on things like visual search.
The future is now.
Right. So it seems like the name of the game is diversification. Don't put all your eggs in the Google basket. Explore those alternative search engines. But for now, let's move on to another exciting frontier, social media optimization.
All right, let's get social. This is where knowing your audience really matters. Every platform has its own vibe.
And speaking of vibes, this article spends a lot of time on TikTok, especially reaching Gen Z. Right. And they had all these interesting tips for making your content stand out there, like using trending sounds and hashtags to kind of, I don't know, join the conversation that's already happening.
Yeah, you're speaking TikTok's language when you do that. Same with using keywords in your bio, captions, even comments. It all matters.
So it's like a dance. You've got to be creative and strategic.
Yes, you got it.
Okay, so we've covered search engines, we've covered social media, ready to talk about the big one, AI and SEO.
Okay, hit me with it. This is the future we're talking about. What do I need to know?
Well, this article dives into something called Perplexity AI, and it's kind of blowing my mind.
Perplexity AI. Okay, I'm listening.
So instead of just matching keywords, AI-powered search engines are understanding what we're really looking for.
Exactly. Imagine, right, you're searching for, let's say, best running shoes.
Okay, yeah.
So in the past, you might get just a generic list of running shoes, right? But with Perplexity AI, Google knows, let's say you're training for a marathon.
How would it know that?
Past searches, websites you visited.
Ooh, sneaky.
Right. So it can give you results tailored to marathon runners, not just any runner. That's Perplexity AI.
Okay, that's actually really cool. So this is definitely a game changer. The article calls it a revolution in SEO, and I can see why. So how do we optimize for that? Like, are we writing for robots now?
Kinda.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. The big takeaway is your content, it can't just be informative now.
So what else?
It's got to be well-structured, easy to understand, all that. And it needs to align with something called search intent.
Search intent, is that like what the person is hoping to find?
You got it.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Are they looking for a quick answer?
Or like a whole guide?
A guide, a product,
Yeah.
or just entertainment even,
Yeah.
Figuring that out, what they really want, that's how you rank well in this brave new AI world.
Okay, so it's like Less about cramming in keywords, more about understanding the actual human on the other side.
100%.
It's almost like to write for robots, we have to be more human.
You said it. In this article, they made a good point. Even with AI getting so smart, we can't just let the robots run the show.
Oh, thank goodness. I was a little worried for a second.
Right. We still need that human touch.
Yeah.
Fact-checking, editing.
Making sure it sounds good.
Exactly. And that unique voice, that's what robots can't replicate.
That's what makes it interesting.
And that's how you connect with your audience, for real.
Okay, so we've covered search engines, they're getting smarter, social media, can't forget that AI is changing everything. But there's one more thing I wanted to get to from this article. This one really surprised me.
Okay, what is it?
Apps.
Apps?
Yeah, like using free apps to actually boost your SEO.
Hold on, I'm confused. How does that work?
I know, it sounds counterintuitive, right? But they make a good case. It's like you create a really useful tool, and it leads people back to your website.
Okay, I'm listening.
So they gave this example, the Shopee calculator. It helps Shopee sellers, figure out their costs, profits, all that.
Ask more.
Right. And because it's free, people love it, they use it, and it all goes back to promoting the Shopper Maniac blog.
So it's like, give a little taste, get them hooked.
Exactly. You become the expert. People trust you. They want more.
I like it. And you don't even need to build it yourself, right?
Right. The article mentioned places like Code Canyon. You can get pre-made apps.
Even easier.
Yeah.
Or hire someone.
Right.
Technically.
Exactly. Freelancers, whatever works. It's about thinking outside the box,
Yeah.
SEO isn't just on your website anymore.
It's everywhere.
It's a whole ecosystem. Like, remember that saying, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
Classic.
This is like, give your audience a free app, they'll keep coming back to your website forever.
I love that. So true. Provide value, build that relationship.
Okay, so to kind of sum up everything we've talked about, this deep dive into Shopper Maniac's article, it's been eye-opening to say the least. SEO, It's not just about Google anymore.
It's way bigger.
We got to think about how people search everywhere online.
And meet them there.
Exactly. So final thoughts, big takeaways for our listeners. What should they be thinking about?
For me, the biggest thing is this SEO world, it's always changing.
It's true. What works today is like out of date tomorrow.
Right. And that's what I love about it. It keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Never stop learning.
Exactly. This article definitely gave us a lot to think about. But if we had to pick one big question for our listeners to ask themselves, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think for me, it comes down to, with so many different platforms now, so many ways to do this whole SEO thing, how do you decide where to focus?
It's overwhelming.
Totally. So it boils down to, how can you make the biggest impact? Where are your people searching? And how do you reach them authentically?
Such a good point. There's no one right answer anymore.
Nope. Be strategic, get creative, and be ready to adapt. That's the key.
I am energized. This is exciting stuff. The future of SEO is wide open.
Totally agree. It's a good time to be doing this work.
Huge thanks to Shopper Maniac for that article. What a way to shake things up.
For real.
And thank you for listening. We hope this deep dive has got your SEO wheels turning. Until next time, happy optimizing.